Hello, everybody. We did it. We're here. We're live. I'm Peter Dugan. Welcome to another evening of music. Gosh, it's been a minute since we had a live stream concert here at From the Top. We are so happy to be presenting tonight's program, our first live stream of the 2021-2022 season. But that doesn't mean that we haven't been very busy and working really hard here at From the Top. We've already put out several episodes of radio. For those of you who have listened, thank you. If you haven't, you can still listen to those episodes by going to wherever you get your podcasts and downloading and subscribing to the From the Top podcast. By the way, this year we're doing something new with our podcast stream. So you will now get, if you subscribe to our podcast, you'll get a new episode every single week. Sometimes it'll be a full-length episode, and sometimes it'll be a little miniature episode where we bring back a performer from our archives. So maybe even from the early days of From the Top over 20 years ago, and you'll get to hear some music and find out what those young musicians are up to now. So it's pretty fun. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast. But what are we doing tonight? That's the important question. What are we doing tonight? Tonight is live, like I said, so you should please use that chat function and let us know how you're enjoying the show. And you can ask questions of our young performers, and we can answer them in real time because I don't know if I mentioned this, but we're live. So please use the chat function. If you feel so inclined and you're enjoying the program, we invite you to make a gift using the donate button. If it's not there, you'll see some information popping up soon about how to utilize that. We are a small independent nonprofit organization, so we rely on your generosity to make it possible for us to keep doing what we do and to support young artists like the three who you're going to meet tonight. They are George Wolfe-McGuire, who's a cellist, 17 years old, from Amityville, New York, Long Island. We have Célina Béthoux. She's also 17 years old. She's coming to us this evening from her dorm room at the New England Conservatory up in Boston. And we have the 19-year-old violinist Yvette Craft, who's joining us from San Francisco Conservatory over on the West Coast. So it's going to be a fantastic show. We're doing something a little bit different tonight. In addition to hearing musical performances by all three musicians, you're also going to get to know them a little bit outside of their musical skills. You know, what we do at From the Top is about so much more than just music making. It's about getting into production and content creation. So we've asked all three of these young artists to come up with the project. We gave them free rein to do whatever they wanted with it. And we're going to give them a platform now to share those creative projects with all of you. I'm really excited to see them. I haven't seen them yet. And be sure to stick around for the end of the program when I will try to stump them and all of you with a game. If you've watched these shows before, you know that those can be hopefully somewhat fun and entertaining. Anyway, enough of all that. Let's bring on these musicians. Please welcome George, Célina, and Yvette. There they are. All right. How are you guys doing? So I see thumbs up. Let's go around the room. Can we call this a room? I think we can. Let's go around the room, starting with George. Why don't you go first? Tell us where you are right now and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm George. I'm from Amityville, Long Island. I'm 17 years old. I'm a cellist, as you said. Right now, I am studying at Juilliard Pre-College with Professor Fred Cherry.
Awesome. And moving around, for me, the next up is Célina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Célina. I'm 17 and a violinist. I'm currently studying at the New England Conservatory up in Boston. Home for me is Cleveland, Ohio, and France. And I'm so delighted to be here.
Delighted to have you. And that leaves Yvette.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, my name's Yvette. I'm 19 years old. I'm a violinist. I'm in San Francisco. I'm at the Bose Center dorms right now. And I'm originally from Spokane, Washington. I moved to Seattle about 4 years ago, and then to San Francisco. I'm continuing studying with Simon James, and I'm loving every second of it. And I'm also very excited to be here.
Cool. And we're going to hear from all of you this evening, but I think we're going to start off with you, Célina. So let us know, like, what we're going to hear you perform right now. You performed this piece actually on the radio. It's already aired. I heard it. I loved it. I'm only very jealous that I didn't get to play it with you, but you were in very good hands with Orly. Tell us about this piece.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Orly and I recorded Peace by Jessie Montgomery, and that's Peace. And it was absolutely an otherworldly experience for me. I think the piece, no pun intended.
Right.
The work, there we go.
There it is.
The work itself explores many facets of this concept of inner peace, including the struggle to obtain it. And it was written during the pandemic, during lockdown. So I think we can very much relate to this struggle, no matter what the circumstances are. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, let's roll the tape. Wow. Gosh, so stunning. What a beautiful performance.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, and I see everyone watching is loving it too. We have comments coming in from Donna. Thank you for watching, Donna. I love how you are able to just get a sound that's like so intimate with that piece. You know what I mean? I feel like you got to be brave to go there, and it's really nice that you did that.
Yeah, it is very vulnerable, and I will say, at the end, I very much had tears in my eyes. It was just so deeply touching.
Yeah, I sense like the magic in the room. I'd love to bring on, since we have Yvette with us, who's, if your fellow fiddle player, I'd love to bring Yvette on. There she is. Yvette, have you heard this piece before?
No, that was the first time I had the pleasure of hearing it. Wow, amazing, amazing performance.
Any like nerdy violin comments or observations from listening to that performance?
I mean, I guess like, man, I want to study with you to get that tone color. I just love the amount of colors you're getting in it. Like, you get to some moments that are so bleak, but yet there's like hope in there too. It's just wow, that was really, really amazing and very moving.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so now you got to find the music, Yvette, and add it to your repertoire too. Okay, Selena, the next thing thanks, Yvette. We're going to send you off now. Goodbye. This is too much power for me. Selena, you're going to talk a little bit about what life is like at NEC.
Yes. All right. So, hello, everyone. It's an absolute delight once again to be here tonight. So thank you from the top for this. When I was first approached and about this and we discussed ideas, basically the three of us were told you can do whatever you want. Please just think creatively. And it was a little tricky because there are so many different things to share. And so I thought it would be really interesting to delve into what my life as a music student is, because that can be a little bit obscure. Even as a music student in like a young artist program or a prep program, coming to conservatory, you have a little bit of an idea, but I can tell you that it's so much more than you would expect. So I am a freshman at the New England Conservatory. I'm studying with Suvin Kim, pursuing a bachelor's degree in violin performance here in Boston. And I did want to highlight on this slide our beautiful Jordan Hall, which has absolutely incredible sound and atmosphere. So there are a lot of different doors to open here at NEC, a lot of different courses you can take. And first of all, of course, there's the musical performance elements. So that includes private lessons, which I take with Mr. Kim, studio class and scale class, which is basically classes with all of the students who study with the same teacher. And we perform repertoire for each other, and it's like a masterclass, but Mr. Kim does involve discussion. So it's always just absolutely fascinating and so inspiring to hear colleagues. Chamber music rehearsals and coachings. I'm in a string quartet, as we'll see soon. We are coached by the chair of chamber music here at NEC, Mary Peckham. And chamber music was always one of my favorite things, and we'll get to that. Orchestra rehearsals. We have different rotations, different repertoire. Last month we had a concert with David LaBelle. This month we're working with Hugh Wolf. Upcoming concert next week, actually. And of course, there's practicing. Can't be a musician without practicing. And sight reading and other nerdy fun basically refers to what we do for fun, other than going out in the city, is reading music together on the spot and just completely geeking out on what we love to do with our instruments and different ways to approach them. So here's just a little look inside. You can see the first one is our orchestra rehearsal in Burns Hall. We're working on repertoire by Prokofiev, Tandon, okay, let me remember this correctly. Tchaikovsky and William Grant Still. Next, sorry that video was a little strangely compressed, but that's from our studio class. You can see Mr. Kim on the right there. He sometimes plays with us to give different perspective, especially when we're trying to play multiple voices at once. And I thought this was just a fun clip from our last studio class. And then, of course, there's also private lessons. I don't know if you can really see, but if you look closely, just in the middle there, there is a picture of the legendary Jascha Heifetz. I always love going and practicing in the studio or having lessons. Mr. Kim is absolutely incredible, blows my mind every single lesson. I've learned so much from him, not only as a violinist, but also as a person. He's just one of the most wonderful, caring, wise human beings I've ever met in my life. So I feel very fortunate to have him. And so here I wanted to share a clip of my string quartet. We're playing Mendelssohn's Opus 13 number 2. This is just an excerpt of the last movement. We're hoping to perform the whole thing very soon, but this group is very special to me. We have it's hard to describe in words really, but we just have this chemistry together, both in personality and musical interpretation, that really allows us to delve so deeply in the music, but still have such an incredible time together, including a lot of silliness in rehearsals. So I think we can hear this clip now. So yeah, and I did want to mention we are very fortunate to have coachings with Mary Peckham, as I said in the beginning, and this is actually an excerpt from our coaching. So we were delving into a lot of new ideas, even just in that clip. So I had this experience about a week and a half ago, which I thought would be really special to share. There was one night, late at night, I don't really remember what time, but it was very dark, and I decided that I just had this urge to go practice again. But this time I went to our studio and turned off the lights. So this might seem strange. You know, why wouldn't you want to be able to see the music or see your instrument? And yes, of course, that's very valid. But somehow practicing in the dark it deprives you of that sense of looking. It deprives you one of your senses. And so I think it really heightens your listening. But more than that, it creates this atmosphere that's charged with potential energy and filled with emotion, just waiting to be grabbed. And part of that is also this sense of inner peace. Speaking of that work that Orly and I played together. And I chose to practice just the first couple phrases of the Bach C major solo sonata third movement, the Largo. And just over and over again, just exploring sound and listening. And I was recording myself a little bit, but as you'll see in this clip here. But more so, I was just allowing myself to delve as deeply as I could into the soul of this piece, because Bach is so unbelievably powerful. And I think we'll hear more about that from Yvette later. But I found that it just caused me to reach a state of complete inner peace. Not to repeat myself, but that's truly what it was. And it's so rare nowadays. We're just constantly going. There's so much to do, especially as a freshman in college. And just to have that and to just feel this glow within my soul That was a very powerful experience. So I do have a little clip from that. I know that's a memory I'll hold very dearly in my heart. So now there's more to music school than just performance type classes. We also have other more academic structured endeavors. And so just to start, we have many different liberal arts classes. As a freshman, we were assigned to a specific seminar. Personally, I was assigned to arts and audience. And we've explored many, many different kinds of works from it just the time range. It could be contemporary, it could be from very, very long ago. And in fact, this week we were just looking at a text by Virginia Woolf. And we examine everything. So both from the perspective of the artist and the audience, as is implied by the title, and it just really brings us to think about what we value as our role as an artist, and that varies from person to person. And it's just very interesting to kind of try to get a sense for the artist's intention versus the audience's reaction or what comes across, because in the end, we are looking for that connectivity and that shared experience. Other classes we have are college writing, which is actually the topics are quite related to our liberal arts seminars. So we've been exploring a lot about the artist's role in society and just how they behave and how the creative mind works. Theory, of course, so there's two different types. Analysis and composition focuses more on chord progressions. We in fact just had to write a Passacaglia, which is a piece structured on theme and several variations. And then there's music literacy and musicianship, which focuses on solfege, so sight reading, but with singing. And then first year colloquium just gives us a chance to have some mentorship as to the experience here, this big transition, which I'll talk about later, and also what's to come, because there is a lot to explore in the music world, and it can be overwhelming and it can be a challenge. So here's just a little look inside. I have my liberal arts seminar with Dr. Klein, who I absolutely adore and admire very much, and theory with Mr. Triniger. We do have Zoom theory classes, so it's 3 times a week. One of them's on Zoom. I just thought it was interesting to see we still have a little bit of COVID mentality here. Of course, it hasn't completely disappeared, sadly. So, yeah. So I did have the opportunity to have some little mini interviews with my teacher, Soo-Eun Kim, with my friend Shaylin Jose, who is also a student here. I believe she was on From the Top recently as well, and Mary Peckham, who I mentioned earlier. And I can tell you it was very hard to cut down these interviews and to choose the clips and make them as short as possible, because all of it was just so thought-provoking and inspirational. And one of the questions, of course, was what stands out to you as particularly unique and wonderful at NEC, because I do find this to be a very, very special place. So let's hear what Mr. Kim has to say.
Oh, that's a tough question, because there's so many things to love about NEC. Something that really to me stands out is that there is a sort of an NEC student, a little bit of an ethos. And actually, a lot of the faculty will talk about it. We struggle to define it exactly, but I think it has something to do with an openness, a willingness and a desire to really explore and not necessarily find the right answer, the correct answer, not making that assumption, but really just exploring passions and interests. And so as a teacher, it's very easy to support that.
All right. And I asked Shaylin the same question, so let's hear what she has to say. I mean, it's almost impossible to add things because these are such great answers.
What I really enjoy about NEC is that it's a really like small school, and so you sort of get to know everybody. And while you might not be like best friends with everybody, it still feels like one closely knit family. What I really enjoy.
And to have that feeling already just a few months in, I think that's something to really notice. Another question, again, this was so hard to cut down, but I think Mr. Kim has such an incredible story here. But what is something that had the biggest impact on you in music school? So let's see what he shares here.
Well, I do remember I was, so my first conservatory was CIM, the Cleveland Institute of Music, as was your school growing up. And I was a young artist in the Young Artist program, as you were. And the very first week of the Cleveland Orchestra season that year was Isaac Stern playing Brahms Concerto. I heard Mr. Stern play that evening, and it was just on every which way I look at it in my memory. It was so overwhelming that I could hardly walk home. It's only like a 3-minute walk to the dorms, and I could hardly walk back. My knees were so shaky. I dreamt about that concert every night for a month, and it became so clear to me that just sheer passion and advocacy for music and what great art like this can do to people. And it just hit me, and so kind of gave me my whole sense of purpose from that point on.
Yeah, I can tell you, I definitely had similar experiences, and it is just one of the most overwhelming, but in the best way possible, experiences, especially as a performer as well, which is similar to what happened in that room with Orly when we played Peace together. I asked Miss Peckham the same question, so let's see her perspective.
Well, if I look back to when I was a student in music school, that would be, quite a while ago. But I'd have to say, along with just really learning about what I wanted to do with music, which really happened, I think, in about my 3rd or 4th year of music school, which was to be very much involved and devoted to chamber music. I think it's also the friendships that one makes, and of course, the lessons that you learn from your teachers last a lifetime. In fact, sometimes you realize some of the things they were sharing with you don't necessarily come full circle or to fruition until you've been out of school for a while and you understand more about what your teachers meant. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So, okay. I do have one more little clip from Mr. Kim, and there was so much more to this, but I thought that this little idea could just be fruit for thought for everybody. So let's hear it.
I mean, life is long, very long, hopefully. And therefore, our musical life is very long, hopefully. Our relationship with music. And so that's, I guess, my first response is that hopefully I would wish for any of my students, whether it's you or what I would wish for my child, is that they will have many different relationships with music and what music means in their life.
Definitely very deep thought there, and this is something that I relate to very much. And exploring it does take over your life, in a certain sense, and that can be a big challenge, but it can also be just the most wonderful thing you experience in your life. If I say more, it's just going to get complex and tangled, because there are really no words to describe that kind of relationship, that close, intimate relationship with music. Which brings me to my next point, which is humanizing the transition to college. And it is really much tougher than most people admit. You'll hear a lot of, oh, I'm so excited to leave home, or college were the best years of my life. And okay, yes, absolutely. It's an exciting new journey. There's a lot to experience here, and certainly a lot of happy memories and a lot of learning. But leaving home, leaving the nest, is not necessarily the easiest thing, because it also means finding your independent voice. And although that may be developed already starting as a child and teenager, just to be start to be thrown out into the world and just navigating everything, even from the simplest, like doing laundry, or the most complex when perhaps you go through something that's more challenging emotionally. It's a lot. It can become overwhelming. There's also a lot of work. We're in a new environment. Boston is filled with so much life and culture and color. So we're very lucky to be here, but it's a tough balance. Something else that really helps is forming these relationships, these very special relationships that will remain with you your whole life. And I think that can happen with friends, but also with mentors. And when I asked Ms. Peckham to do some interviews, she actually did send me this little video as well, and I thought it was very sweet. But it kind of shows this relationship that it's so worth working hard to build and to learn from. So I wanted to share that with her.
I have the good fortune of being the coach for Celina's chamber group this semester. Selena is a dream. She's wonderful to work with. She's a terrific violinist and such a passionate and experienced chamber music player. She's very responsive in her group. She's very generous. She sounds terrific, and her group is wonderful. So Selena is just a great person in so many ways. You hear her playing, and she sounds like she'd be a wonderful person, and you know what? She really is.
I'd like to highlight that I have an amazing group, and that's some close friends there. And just to hear Mary say that it's an absolute honor, and it gives me a lot of motivation and inspiration to just keep going, keep reaching further, and keep improving. And I can't wait to further deepen that relationship as well. So this brings me towards the end of the presentation, and I know it's just a little glimpse. There's so much more to talk about. I do have a few quotes here that I think really communicate what music feels like to the best that words can do. And music is life itself. I mean, Louis Armstrong put it perfectly. That's about the most that you can say. And I know for me, it's definitely my life, and I love being just fully devoted to it. And it's very much a big part of who I am as well. when it's not there, if I have to take a break for something, it definitely feels off and very strange. And I think even my parents and my siblings have noticed like a shift in character when I'm not playing my violin. So, excellent. Thank you so much. It was such an honor to be here, and I'm so glad I could share this with you. I do have one last tiny clip. This was actually a couple of summers ago at Music at Menlo, and there is someone else here in this video who goes to NEC, so it is relevant, I promise. But this is what we like to do in our spare time and what we find absolutely hilarious. So go ahead.
Yes, that was so epic. That D minor never felt so good.
Oh yeah.
Célina, I can't thank you enough for sharing all of that with us. I think that it's, I hope that some of the folks watching right now are maybe young musicians who are like still in high school, who are curious about what the life is going to be like at the conservatory, or maybe their parents, because that was really illuminating. And ultimately, I think for me, having gone through all that myself many years ago, it was really heartwarming, actually. And because your attitude and your like sincerity with which you approach the art is refreshing and really just makes me so happy. So thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, just have to say that Mary Peckham, of course, was one of my mentors too, and I'm going to write her as soon as we're done tonight to just say like how great she is and you are, and definitely feeling the love there tonight.
Yeah, emphasis on how great she is, for sure.
Well, yeah, she's pretty awesome. But you know what? It's such a great thing when you get paired up with faculty who you resonate with. That's what we all hope for when we go to school, and it doesn't always happen. So I'm very happy for you that you've got that with both of those teachers. Célina, thanks so much. You're going to come back to join us in a few minutes for our game. But for now, I'll just say goodbye for now and thank you for that. And we'll chat more in a bit. And we're going to have some more music now with Yvette Craft. Let's bring Yvette on, another violinist. Yvette, I got to hear you when you recorded, for the show, but it hasn't actually aired yet. So this is sort of, we can call this a sneak peek, I think, as to what people can expect to come. What are you going to perform right now?
Oh, like right now from the show?
Well, I mean, this video, right? Like we're going to share the video of you playing Elgar, but tell everyone what it is.
So yeah, I got the chance to play Elgar's La Capriccious, which is this really, really cute little piece. It's been beloved as a what's the word? Encore.
Yeah.
Very popular in the 20th century by some great violinists. Its main feature is very elegant up-bow staccato. It's a lot of fun to play. I think maybe the best word to describe it is like a cream puff. Like
a cream puff.
Just there for extra, perfectly, not too sweet, but just very light and filling and delicious.
I love that you're comparing it to that, because one of the things we talked about, in your interview was sweets and the craftsmanship that goes into fine baking. So yeah, okay, let's hear this cream puff of a piece. This is Elgar, and let's roll a clip. Oh, we were about to have an encore performance there. I was ready for it. Yvette, beautiful. I mean, as I said before, I was there virtually as you were recording that performance at Disher Sound. It's so nice to hear it all over again. And dang, girl, you got that up bow staccato. That sounded so good.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun to do.
I feel like it's only fair to just bring someone else on to, maybe we can have Célina come on to just repay, since you came on and gave such a nice compliment to her. Let's just, Célina, any words about that?
Well, it's not hard to repay because that was absolutely incredible. I thought it just had the perfect balance. I mean, so elegant and fun, but you didn't take the emotion out of it either. So I loved it. It was definitely a cream puff of a piece.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Célina. And we're going to have both of you come on to pay a compliment to George when he goes. But Yvette, or not, you could come on and say, I hated it. It was terrible. No, don't do that. I'm rambling. It's getting late and I didn't eat dinner. But Yvette, tell us what your presentation is going to be about right now. You have like a video that you created, or?
Yeah, so I'm completely new to San Francisco as of this fall, and so I was, interested in just going around. And also, I, like Selena, I love Bach a lot, and I was just kind of brainstorming and thinking about both those things, and the thought came upon me, like, what if Bach lived in San Francisco? Like, where would he be doing his music? And I just decided to record myself playing this B minor sarabande for solo violin in various places, and just kind of talk a little bit about Bach and add a little humor in it. It's just a short little fun video. I hope you enjoy it.
Nice. Cool idea. All right, let's roll the clip.
Hello everybody, I am here at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and I'm sure the most pressing question on right now is, if Johann Sebastian Bach were alive today and living in San Francisco, where would he be playing his music? Well, I am wearing my Bach Concerto in A minor t-shirt, and I'm about to head inside to find out. Follow me. So, this is where Bach's music is most played nowadays, the concert hall. I'm in the Caroline H. Hume Concert Hall at SFCM. It sounds quite lovely, but let's think about where Bach would be. Bach lived from 1685 to 1750, and he lived and worked in various parts of what is now Germany. When he accepted a position as a musician, he was not only responsible for the music for church services, but also for town hall and for court. Let's go to that last one.
You mean this court?
No, not that one.
You mean this court?
No, not that one either. Okay, let's forget that idea. How about the town? Here's the town square at Civic Center for public events a San Francisco Bach might be at. It's a beautiful area and so lively with everyone around. It is a bit loud though. Let's go somewhere else. Here's where Bach might spend most of his time. A church. This one is my favorite, St. Dominic's Catholic Church. Though Bach was Lutheran, he applied to be the organist for churches such as these during his time. This is one of my favorite pieces of his too, his Sarabande and Double from the Partita No. 1 in B minor for solo violin. The Double is a variation of the Sarabande, almost a sort of reflection with a different texture. This time I think I'll play it all the way through. I think this fits the best. And since Bach said, "The aim and final end of all music is none other than the glory of God and the refreshment of the soul," I think he might agree with me. I hope my performance did that for you and that you learned a little something about this great composer.
Thanks for joining me in San Francisco.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love like just the playful spirit that you brought to the video as a whole, but then you hit hard with the Bach performance. It was like, whew, powerful.
Bach is very, very dear to me.
Well, it's cool like to see how the way you transform it from being on stage to then being in a sacred space. Hopefully, like if you know that internally, then maybe when you perform, even when you do have to play Bach on a stage, you can actually create through your performance, like take that space and turn it into a sacred space, if that makes any sense.
Right,
You know?
yes.
It's like transformative. Yeah. Wow. Thanks so much for sharing that, Yvette. It's just, yeah, so beautiful. And you're going to be back on in a moment for our game, but I will say goodbye for now. And
right.
thank you again. So we have George Wolfe-McGuire coming up next. George and I recorded this gorgeous Rachmaninoff piece together for the radio about a month ago now, and we're going to share that with you. But let's bring out George. And George, holding it down, the closer, our last performer of the night, keeping it real in Long Island. Anything to say about this Rachmaninoff before we dive into the performance?
Yeah, sure. This is a piece that I've loved for like the longest time. So when I knew I had an opportunity to choose what I wanted to play on the show, I knew immediately this is exactly what I wanted to play. And luckily, I had the great chance to play with Peter. So,
oh man, thank you. The pleasure was all mine. So let's roll the clip. Bravo, bravo, George. That was so much fun to play together. And, you know, as you said, it's one of the great pieces in the cello piano repertoire. And you couldn't have played it more beautifully. It was just great. So as promised, let's bring our new friends, Yvette and Célina, on to just offer quick feedback. Did the guy do okay?
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
More than okay. I thought the nuance and depth of expression was extremely moving. Great job.
Yes, agreed. Thank you. So now, George, you've got a little something special to share with us.
I can set it up a little bit. So I've always loved cooking with my family. And when I was younger, I would spend a ton of time over at my grandparents' house with my mom cooking Jamaican food. And I would always like to listen to classical music while I was doing it. So I thought it would be great to share some great classical music while cooking a traditional Jamaican dish.
Oh, I'm so excited. Let's check this out.
So right now you're listening to the second movement of the Rachmaninoff Sonata in G minor. I played the third movement of this sonata for my From the Top show, and I chose this piece because I think there are so many turbulent emotions, and it just reminds me of the diversity of the Jamaican meal that we're cooking today. Now I'm going to let my mom tell you what we're going to prepare today.
Hi, my name is Simone. I'm George's mom, and we are going to prepare together ackee and saltfish today. Ackee and saltfish is Jamaica's national dish. It's usually eaten for breakfast or brunch, but really can be eaten any time of the day. We like it in this house, so we sometimes have it for dinner as well. Saltfish is what we call salted cod, and ackee is a fruit which originated in West Africa, but you can find it in Jamaica, and it generally goes together with codfish. If you've ever been to the Caribbean islands, and if you've been to Jamaica and you see them serving fish and you see something that looks like yellow scrambled egg next to it, you've probably already seen ackee. So George is going to list the ingredients, and then he's going to help me dice them and cut them and prepare them. Okay, George?
So we have plantains,
all right,
onions,
scallions,
and some red, yellow, and green bell peppers,
and
tomatoes,
okay,
onion, garlic cloves,
and for seasoning,
thyme, yes,
and
Scotch bonnet peppers,
yes, which are very, very hot, which makes it nice and spicy,
and some salt and pepper.
right? And of course we need oil, and this is ackee. That's a nice picture on the front. So now we're going to have George dice all these things and get them ready to prepare. Chopping your fingers off, make them nice and small. Okay.
This is what it all looks like together diced out.
So now we're ready to prepare the actual saltfish. This was the saltfish after we boiled it. This is about 8 ounces. It's after it's boiled. And now I'm going to actually let George shred it, because it's supposed to be shred into little pieces. We're just shredding the boiled saltfish, and if you've boiled it enough correctly, which was about 40 minutes, it should be nice and soft and very easy to flake off. And meanwhile, I'm going to go and heat up 2 tablespoons of oil in the skillet to get ready to fry.
And now my mom's going to pour all the vegetables into the pan. The bell peppers, the scallions, and the onions.
And red peppers, green bell peppers. So now, George, you're going to add the shredded saltfish into the skillet with all the seasoning, the scallions, the onions, and all those things. And then kind of give it a nice little stir. And by the way, we heated all the seasonings in the skillet for about 5 minutes, and now we're going to also heat the saltfish for about another 5 minutes before we add the last 2 condiments, which are like tomatoes and thyme, and that will be it.
Now my mom's going to add in the tomatoes.
now George is going to put the ackee into the skillet. That's it. And then you can put that in the sink, George. And then we'll gently turn it over. Very gently, because if you don't gently stir it, it will be very, oops, be careful, you'll get very mushy, and we don't want it mushy. We want to preserve the pod-like shape. And as you can see, it does look like scrambled egg. And what will end up happening is the ackee will basically absorb the flavor of whatever dish it's in. So this ackee will absorb the salty flavor of the codfish. Okay, thank you. So now we have actually made the ackee and saltfish. It was pretty easy. Now it's just heating on the stove. So now I have to prepare the rest of the meal. Now ackee and saltfish is often combined with, eaten with what they call Johnny cakes, which are fried dumplings, or it can be had with green bananas, boiled green bananas, or actually rice, or callaloo, which is a Jamaican leafy vegetable. So today I'm going to make it with fried plantains and boiled green bananas and rice.
So here we have the finished product. This is the ackee, saltfish and vegetables. This is the fried plantain, some boiled green bananas, the rice, and some avocado.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a big applause for both of you, because I am hungry just watching that. Thanks for sharing that. I know it's a really important part of your culture and your heritage, and really, really cool of you to share that with us. We are going to now bring on Célina and Yvette. And folks, we're running a little bit over. We're running a little bit long tonight, which is fine, because honestly, it was just so great to hear from all of you and get that insight into all of your lives out beyond like your outstanding musicianship and artistry. So what we're going to do is, we like to play a game at the end of this show. I'm going to condense it to one question. It's a do or die question. Normally you go for a little while. It's all boiling down to one question. And basically the game works like this. I say a name and you tell me if that's the name of a composer or if that's the name of a type of pumpkin. Because it's fall, it's like we just had Halloween, Thanksgiving's coming up, all right? So it's composer or pumpkin, all right? And I have a whole bunch here, but for the sake of time, we'll put these up on social media later, but for the sake of time, it's just one, all right? And here's the name. Marina di Chioggia. Marina di Chioggia. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, that sounds like an Italian name, but wouldn't it just be absolutely buck wild if that was the name of a species of pumpkin? So I'm going to go around in order that we met all of you tonight. So Célina, what do you think? Is that a composer or is that the type of pumpkin?
I'm hesitating because anything is possible at this point, but I'm going to say composer.
Okay. And then Yvette, you're up next.
I mean, I'm also probably going to say composer, but watch me be wrong.
Okay. George, this is crazy for you right now, George, because I'm in your head. I'm in all of your heads. They both said composer. It's Marina di Chioggia. Could that possibly be the name of a pumpkin? Are you brave enough to guess that? Or are you going to say composer?
I think I have to go with pumpkin.
George! There it is. This is a Marina di Chioggia pumpkin. They're actually quite popular in Italy, but not often seen in the US. And there it is. It comes from a seaside town near Venice. Great. So that was our game. I hope you all enjoyed it. And honestly, Célina and Yvette, I don't blame you guys for guessing composer. It was an intentional trick question. And so with that, I just want to thank all of you at home for watching and for spending this time with us. But most importantly, thanks to Yvette and Célina and George. Oh, and by the way, the other pianist we heard, Orly Shaham, of course, one of our recurring guest hosts. And Yvette, I'm so sorry, I forgot to ask you to introduce your pianist. Would you do that?
Yes, her name is Amy Chu.
Thank you so much. Thanks to Amy Chu. She played beautifully. You all did. I think that does it for tonight. I just want to thank everyone. And we're going to close things out with a little performance that I recorded a bit ago of a 3-minute piece by Alberto Ginastera called "The Dance of the Cunning Cowboy," so, or roughly translated, from his 3 Argentinian dances. So we hope you all enjoy that. But for now, goodbye and thank you, Célina, Yvette, George. Take care.
Thank you.